The telemetry data glowed on the dozen monitors surrounding Marco, each screen a testament to his failure. For the third race in a row, he had dominated for 48 laps only to lose control in the final two. His tires, his engineers, his luck, he had blamed everything. As the fastest qualifier on the circuit, his inability to finish was a humiliation amplified by the roar of the press. He slammed his fist on the console. It makes no sense. The data says the line is perfect. A slow, rhythmic hum broke his concentration. It was Arthur, the night cleaner, guiding a floor polisher across the immaculate garage floor. The old man's movements were patient and methodical, a stark contrast to the frantic energy of Marco's world. "Hey, watch it," Marco snapped, gesturing at the multi-million-dollar car. "One scratch on that carbon fiber and you'll be polishing floors for the rest of your life. Just stick to the smudges, old man." Arthur stopped the machine, its hum dying to a whisper. He looked at Marco, not with offense, but with a deep, weary placidness. He gave a slow nod and continued his work, his reflection gliding silently across the concrete canvas. Days later, Marco was in the simulator preparing for the championship. He was stuck. Turn 7, a notoriously difficult chance, was eating him alive. The data told him to brake late, clip the apex, and power out. Every time he tried, the simulation ended with the sickening crunch of a virtual crash. He'd been at it for hours, sweat beading on his forehead. He threw the headset off just as Arthur was wheeling his cart past. His shift over, the old man paused, his eyes on the frozen screen showing Marco's car spinning into a wall. "You're fighting the turn," Arthur said, his voice surprisingly clear in the quiet room. Marco laughed, a bitter, tired sound. "And what would you know about it?" Arthur didn't answer. He walked over to the simulator rig, picked up a piece of chalk from the maintenance tray, and knelt on the polished floor. With a hand that was surprisingly steady, he drew a single, flowing arc on the ground. It was wider than the line on the screen, less aggressive, almost gentle. "Every track has a whisper," Arthur said, still looking at the chalk line. "It tells you where it wants you to go. Your line is the one the computer tells you is fastest. This," he tapped the chalk, "is the one the car wants to follow. It's the line of least resistance. You don't lose a tenth of a second in the turn, but you save your tires for the final lap." Marco stared at the simple curve on the floor, then at Arthur. "How?" "Drove a bit back in the day," Arthur said, standing up with a slight wince. "Long before computers, you had to learn to feel the car, to listen to the track. Your data is a tool, son. It's not the truth." Something in the old man's quiet confidence cut through Marco's pride. He put the headset back on and drove Arthur's line. The car felt different. It was settled, calm. He didn't fight the wheel, he flowed with it. He was faster on the exit, the tires barely making a sound. He ran 10 perfect laps in a row. On race day, Marco ignored the frantic data streams from his engineers as he approached turn 7. He remembered the chalk line, the whisper of the track. He took the wider, smoother line. His lap times were a fraction slower, and his team radio crackled with nervous questions. "Trust me," was all he said. In the final laps, as his rivals' tires began to scream and their aggressive lines turned ragged, Marco's car was still perfectly balanced. He glided past them one by one, his movements as smooth and deliberate as the old man polishing the floor. He crossed the finish line with a lead he hadn't thought possible. In the press conference, holding the championship trophy, a reporter asked him what had changed. Marco smiled. "I had a new race engineer this week," he said. "He taught me that sometimes the cleanest line isn't the fastest, but it's the one that gets you home." He looked past the cameras to the edge of the crowd, where Arthur stood in his simple uniform, a quiet, knowing smile on his face.